Why does anxiety seem to increase during the winter months? And what can we do to get that under control? Let's find out. Welcome back to the channel, or if this is your first time, I'm Tim Box, mind coach, anxiety therapist, and author of the book Clear Your Head, which is all about how to live your life without anxiety getting in the way. For more than a decade now, I've been working one-to-one with clients to help them overcome all sorts of anxiety-related issues. And I've noticed a bit of a trend over the years. Clients will often report to me that their anxiety tends to get a lot worse during the winter months, to the point, in fact, where they're now in the habit of getting anxious about how anxious they're expecting to get during that time. So if you've noticed your anxiety feels more intense during the winter months, well, firstly, you're not alone, and secondly, don't worry, there are things you can do to counteract it. In this video, I'll explain why winter can increase anxiety and share practical strategies to help you feel more balanced, even in the darkest months. So click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's start to get control of anxiety. Let's start by looking at why winter seems to make anxiety worse. The first and perhaps most obvious reason is less sunlight. In the winter, the days are shorter, and as a result, we're exposed to less natural light. Now, this is important because natural light helps our bodies produce serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter that plays a key role in regulating mood. It's often referred to as the feel-good chemical. When serotonin levels drop, it can make us feel more anxious, irritable, and low. Less sunlight also disrupts our circadian rhythm, which regulates our sleep and wake cycles. When our sleep is affected, so is our mood, and I've spoken many times on this channel about how much harder it is to deal with life's challenges when we're not well rested. The tougher we find the idea of tackling our day-to-day activities, the higher our anxiety levels will be when approaching them. The second reason the winter months can increase anxiety is that winter comes with its own particular set of stressors, such as holiday obligations with family, financial strain from buying gifts or hosting get-togethers, or social pressure to attend certain events. We also might find ourselves encouraged to make end-of-year reflections, which may or may not make us feel like we haven't accomplished enough. Have you ever looked back at the list of goals you made at the start of the year, only to find yourself focusing on the things you didn't quite achieve, and as a result, just feeling bad? Also, the aforementioned cold and dark weather can make it harder to do the things we might be used to doing to manage and maintain our mental well-being, such as getting outside and exercising or attending regular clubs or events. This kind of leads into the third reason why we might feel more anxious during the winter months, and that is cabin fever. We naturally spend more time indoors during the winter. It's cold outside. Staying indoors and hibernating feels like a much more attractive proposition than when it's warm and the sun is shining. However, whilst this is a natural response, it can inadvertently lead to feelings of isolation. For people already prone to overthinking or rumination, this extra alone time can amplify anxious thoughts. The benefit we get from interaction with others isn't always something we notice instantly, and it's easy to fall into the habit of isolating without even noticing the negative effects it has on our mood and our emotional well-being. But there is good news here, because now we know why we might experience higher levels of anxiety during the winter months. We can start to take some action to mitigate that effect and make sure we come out the other side of winter without the usual struggle. So in no particular order, here are my top tips for managing anxiety during the winter months. Firstly, if lack of light is a large part of the problem, then we need to combat this by taking advantage of what daylight we do have. So prioritize time to get outside for a walk. It doesn't have to be a 5-mile hike through the country. It's more about taking advantage of whatever little time you have by getting outside and letting natural light hit your face. Also, if you do any work from home, then sit near a window when you can. Even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes, every little bit of natural light will make a positive difference when it comes to mood in general and anxiety levels in particular. I've also had a lot of clients tell me that they've received a lot of benefit from investing in a light therapy box. These are designed to mimic sunlight and can help boost serotonin levels and regulate your circadian rhythm. Whatever you choose to do, make that action an important part of your daily routine, and don't get put off if some days it's only a few minutes here and there. Ultimately, every step in the right direction, no matter how insignificant it seems, will do you good and get you closer to where you want to be. Exercise is a great way of managing anxiety. It releases endorphins and reduces the stress hormone cortisol. It also does something useful with whatever excess adrenaline you might have running through your system. And again, I'm not talking about a 10k run or an epic bike ride. Even a short walk or some gentle stretching at home can make a difference. With reference to the last point, if you can exercise outdoors, combining movement with fresh air and daylight, it's a triple win for our mental health. But if you can't do any of that, then any sort of movement works just fine. I have an osteopath friend who's very fond of saying, movement is medicine, whatever that movement might be. So if I've had a full day at my desk and haven't moved as much as I wanted to, then rather than sitting on the sofa in the evening, I'll walk around the living room. I can still watch the TV, I'm just moving whilst I'm doing it. The next tip is about prioritizing some good, restful sleep. Now, I want to clarify here, I'm not attempting to freak anyone out about the importance of sleep to the point where everyone just feels too anxious to drop off. I'm talking about prioritizing the deliberate implementation of a regular, healthy sleep schedule. Maintaining a consistent sleep schedule, even when it's tempting to sleep in on dark mornings or stay up late binge watching shows, can go a long way to reducing our anxiety levels. Yes, we'll all have those nights when sleep is a struggle, and how we deal with that is covered in other videos on the channel. But the bottom line here is that we promote better sleep and increase our chances of valuable rest and downtime if we have a routine that we stick to. Avoid caffeine or screens too close to bedtime and instead create a calming wind-down routine, such as reading a book. If we can wake up each morning with a good deal of restful downtime under our belt, then we're much more likely to feel able to cope with the challenges of the day, and as a result, feel a lot less anxious. As we've already mentioned, isolation can be a problem in the winter, so we might well find some benefit in doing something to challenge that. Firstly, make a point to stay connected with loved ones. Schedule coffee with a friend, join a class or community group, or even have a quick video call with someone who you enjoy chatting with. It's really easy to lose touch a little with friends during the winter months, and us men in particular can be terrible for that. So it's worth taking deliberate action to stop this happening. And if you do find yourself spending time alone or even prefer your own company to that of others, then use that time intentionally. Don't just scroll your phone or sit doing nothing. Do something creative or enjoyable. This will stop your mind spiraling into anxious overthinking and create a positive focus. So I'm not a fan of the term practice gratitude, but I couldn't think of a better title for this bit, so here we are. The end of the year can trigger anxiety about what we haven't done. As we start to set our targets for next year, that inevitably comes with reviewing last year's goals. And if you're looking at a list where you haven't achieved some or even most of that, then hey, you're not the only one. But remember, this is also an opportunity to reflect on what we have accomplished. So take some time to put your focus on the things you did achieve. And I'm not just talking about the ones on your list from last year. What about all those things you did that you weren't even expecting to do or haven't even credited yourself for? Personal development isn't just about ticking the boxes of the tasks you set yourself. It's also about recognizing the challenges you overcame that you weren't expecting and couldn't have seen coming. Acknowledge the small wins or moments you're grateful for, even the things that set you back. Remember, you still got the other side of them. That's worth a bit of credit. This simple practice goes a long way towards shifting your focus from anxiety to positivity. Cold weather can make us feel physically tense, which only adds to anxious feelings. Staying warm with cozy layers, hot drinks, and warm meals reduces this effect. Winter can be quite beautiful when viewed through a window from a comfortable chair in a warm home. Also, try to prioritize a balanced and nourishing diet. Staying mindful of our nutritional needs will stop us from falling into the trap of simply making ourselves feel rubbish because we're not sustaining our body properly. And this doesn't take much to do, but the small amount of effort we put into maintaining a healthy diet will ultimately reward us by making us feel stronger, more capable, and as a result, reducing anxiety. A colleague of mine said to me the other day that experience multiplied by resistance equals suffering. So with that in mind, let's do what we can to stop fighting the season and accept what comes with it. Don't be afraid to acknowledge that you might not feel so bright and positive during the winter months. That doesn't say anything negative about you, and you don't have to resist that feeling. It's natural to feel a little slower and more reflective. Instead of fighting it, allow yourself to adjust to the rhythm of the season and accept the things we can't change. It's really tempting at this time to simply focus on the things we don't like about winter and to take our previous experiences of struggling at this time and then assuming that's how it will be every year. But of course, our reality isn't dictated by what's happened in the past, but what we choose to focus on now. So instead of focusing on the negative things about this time, how about we instead focus on the things we enjoy that we only get to do in the winter? Things like sitting on the sofa with a hot chocolate watching a Christmas movie, or being able to see our warm breath in the cold winter air. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll get to play in the snow this year, or perhaps just wrap up warm indoors, relaxing in front of a fire and reading a book. Like all times in our life, this time is temporary. Winter will come and go. So rest assured, whatever is hard about winter will soon pass, but also recognize that whatever is good will pass as well. Let's do what we can to enjoy it whilst it's here. One important final thing to remember here is that whatever you choose to do when it comes to managing your anxiety levels during winter, it's all going to have to start with making the deliberate choice to look after yourself. Everything I've outlined in this video, none of it is particularly hard to do, but it's also all too easy to just ignore. There's really no point in knowing what would help you, but simply prioritizing other things in your life instead, and then moaning about the fact you're struggling again. If you want to feel better, you'll need to act differently, and that begins with changing something about the way you think. I'd suggest prioritizing your self-care is an excellent place to start. I really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, then please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more anxiety content that helps put you back in control. And if you want more tips on overcoming anxiety, check out the members area of the channel where you'll find more resources to help you on your journey, as well as access to a weekly members only live stream where I answer your anxiety related questions directly. That's all for now. I'm Tim Box. Always remember, be kind to your mind. I'll see you next time.